Hey guys, welcome to the How to Invest in Crypto for Beginners free course. And this is going to be a step-by-step guide where at the end I'm going to invest $10,000 of my own money into
Dodge.
No.
Hamster coin.
Nah.
Cobra coin.
Well, that actually does sound pretty cool, but no.
Bitcoin?
Maybe. You'll just have to wait and see. And all joking aside, there's honestly a ton of really bad advice out there when it comes to cryptocurrency that can lead to you losing your money.
We went to zero! Yo!
And because of this, I realized that I need to create a step-by-step guide that teaches you all the basics, all the most important things that you need to know about cryptocurrency investing so that you don't end up like that guy.
Yo!
So the first part of this video is going over the fundamentals of investing in crypto, and this is going to be a really deep dive, and you don't want to miss out on this even if you are somebody who has some experience in crypto. Whether you're a beginner or you have a lot of experience, you are very likely going to learn something. So I really recommend not skipping that part. But with that being said, the second part of the video is going to be a step-by-step tutorial where I spend $10,000 of my own money in cryptocurrency. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to invest the money, how to buy, sell, trade, transfer, and store your cryptocurrency. And this is going to be a pretty long video, so if you want to jump around, you can check out those timestamps down in the description below. But I really urge you to treat this almost like a class, even if you have to pause it and keep it up in your browser and it ends up being a tab for like 6 months. That's okay as long as you eventually finish it. And the reason for this is because if you really pay attention, you are going to learn a lot and you're going to know more than 99% of people in the world about cryptocurrency. And then also just want to mention really quickly that I do have 2 presents for you throughout this video. And these are legitimately gifts from me to you. You don't have to put your email in or any weird stuff like that. And people love my gifts and videos, and these took me hours and hours of hard work to make. I think they're going to be incredibly useful for you. So you're really going to love them. So with that being said, let's jump right into the presentation now. All right, guys, so welcome to the course. This is the How to Invest in Crypto for Beginners course. My name is Shane Humison. I go by Shane Hummus here on YouTube because nobody pronounces my last name correctly when they first read it. And so I decided to pull a Gary V and shorten my name from Humison to Hummus, kind of like Gary V did Gary Vaynerchuk to Gary V. But the big question here is, why should you listen to me about cryptocurrency? Well, let me go ahead and introduce myself. So first of all, I have been a YouTuber since 2008. Yeah, seriously. Back in 2008, I uploaded my first video ever, and it was all about the video game RuneScape. Now, you may or may not be familiar with this game, but it's almost like a medieval type game, but it has dragons and magic and stuff like that. And I would go around fighting other people in the wilderness and then posting those fights online. And since then, I created many channels, and one of them, this channel, was successful. I also have probably watched over 10 to 20,000 hours of YouTube as well, so I know what good content looks like, and I know what people want to see when it comes to presentations. The second thing about me is I've been a serial entrepreneur my entire life. I have started countless different businesses, all the way from selling eyeglass cleaner in person to starting consulting businesses. I've tried things like Amazon FBA. I've bought tons of different online courses. Some of them were worth it. Many of them were not worth it. And so I kind of have a good idea how to teach people things when it comes to making money and investing. And I think that's one of the main reasons why my channel has been so successful. The third thing is I do have a doctorate and I am a licensed pharmacist. So I'm somebody who has basically gone through the entire education system, so I can see things from that more traditional side of things. And in the process of getting my doctorate and becoming a pharmacist, I got really good at reading technical things. So for instance, I've read thousands of research papers, and this shows you that not only am I a nerd, but I can also do all of the hard due diligence and technical side of things for you. And I'm very good at breaking down complex things like cryptocurrency into something that even a 5-year-old can understand. I don't know if you're familiar with the Explain Like I'm 5 subreddit, but that's one of my favorite places to go because people are really good at explaining things in a way that makes sense to everyone. Now onto the investing stuff. I have nearly a decade of investing experience. I started investing basically as soon as I could, and it was right after the market crashed. And so I've seen it all. I've been following Bitcoin since around 2012. I've seen the markets go up around, 2013 or so, crash, and then in 2017 it went up again and then it crashed. This isn't my first rodeo. I've seen all of this happen. And I think the most important thing here is I'm a very careful investor and I do my due diligence. This is incredibly important. So I am just a normal guy, right? I have a normal job. I'm a pharmacist. I came from a poor background. I'm not somebody who, came from a situation where they had a lot of money. And I have been able to get myself to a point where I'm pretty well off. And I didn't do this by YOLOing all of my money into one coin at the right time, getting lucky, or starting kind of like a lucky business that took off. I have built my wealth the slow way by working, by starting businesses, and some of them finally did decently well, but none of them have been like ridiculously successful, doing side hustles, and also investing all of my money. And by doing that, I have a cryptocurrency portfolio that is well over $100,000. And although I've been following cryptocurrency since 2012, I started investing around 2016. So I missed the boat around 2012 when Bitcoin took off because I was a skeptic, and then I almost missed the boat again around 2016. And the reason for that is because I thought I had missed out on the big gains, but then I finally decided to invest and I haven't looked back. Now we are going to quickly go over what you are going to learn in this video. We are going to be going over cryptocurrency fundamentals. What is cryptocurrency? How does cryptocurrency work? Why is cryptocurrency so popular? A brief history of cryptocurrency. And hey, this is going to be a fun part. Don't skip that part. Where you can buy or obtain crypto, the major types of crypto, common crypto terms that you must know, popular cryptocurrencies, the best places to buy crypto, important use cases, benefits and risks of buying crypto versus investing in maybe something else, how to buy cryptocurrency, and then I'm going to go over a tutorial where I step by step show you how to buy cryptocurrency, and I'm going to be doing a live $10,000 demonstration. Then we're going to take that cryptocurrency that I bought, we are going to transfer it, we're going to store it, we're going to trade it, and we're eventually going to sell it. And I'm going to show you the process of doing each one of those things. And I'm also going to buy and sell the cryptocurrency on several different exchanges that I think are really good for beginners. Then we're going to go over how to store cryptocurrency, what a cryptocurrency wallet is. We're going to go over taxes, and then there's going to be a free gift and surprise towards the end, and there's also going to be another one somewhere throughout the video. All right, so first, right off the bat, cryptocurrency fundamentals. What exactly is crypto? How does crypto work? What the heck is a blockchain? What are all these things that I keep hearing about? Crypto mining, what the heck is that? Well, the official definition of cryptocurrency is a digital currency in which transactions are verified and records maintained by a decentralized system using cryptography rather than by a centralized authority. And then Oxford Languages goes on to say, decentralized cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin now provide an outlet for personal wealth that is beyond restriction and confiscation. Well, that's kind of a lot of words, and you're still not completely sure what cryptocurrency is after hearing it. So what exactly does that mean? All right, so imagine you and I are both sitting in a coffee shop right next to each other studying. I have an apple and you don't have an apple. I hand my apple over to you and you accept the apple. Then I have 0 apples and now you have 1. So what really happened right there? The apple physically went from my possession to your possession, and I physically put the apple in your hand. I know that it happened, you know that it happened, you touched it, I touched it. We didn't need a third person in order to exchange that apple. But what if that apple was digital? And what if instead of sitting next to each other, we were all the way across the world from each other? If I sent you a digital apple online, how do you know that that apple, first of all, used to be mine and now it's yours? And second of all, it's no longer mine anymore. I mean, for all you know, I could have made copies of that digital apple on my computer and then sent it out to a bunch of different people. So doing an exchange online, doing a digital exchange, is a little bit more complicated than one that happens in person. So the first thing that you have to do with a transaction like that is you must have a digital ledger. And a ledger is basically a record of the transaction. So a record of the transaction of me sending you a digital apple. So it went from person A to person B. It also takes a record of when that happened and how much it was. So did I send you 1 digital apple, 2, 3, a million, and so on? Now, video games have had digital ledgers for a long time, so problem solved, right? Not exactly. The problem with this type of digital ledger is the person who owns the video game can control the ledger. So first of all, they could intercept the apple halfway through when I'm sending it to you, and then they could create multiple versions of it. And then of course, duplicating it would make it much less valuable. Or they could leave us alone completely and just print a bunch of digital apples, which would also make the apple less scarce and therefore less valuable. So how do we make this digital apple transaction almost exactly like we were sitting together at the coffee shop? Well, first of all, we would have to have a digital ledger, but it would have to be available to everyone. So it would have to be transparent. It would have to record every single transaction of digital apples that has ever happened and will ever happen. And that way, no one would be able to cheat and you would be able to send any digital apple that you have. And on top of that, you would know exactly how many digital apples are in the world, and you would know exactly how many have been created and exactly how many can be created in the future. So for instance, there might be a cap on digital apples of 1 million, and there can never be 1,000,001 digital apples created. And this creates scarcity and makes the digital apples more valuable. But there's one other problem here, and that is, how do you get all these people to have this ledger? How do you get them to all participate in this system where they're keeping records? I mean, that's a lot of work, right? Well, in order to incentivize them to keep these records, you would want to reward them with digital apples as well. And one of the most interesting things is that this transaction is actually better than the transaction that happened in real life. And the reason for that is because you could just say, when I handed you the apple in real life, that I never handed it to you. Let's say that I gave you an apple and we agreed that later on you were going to give me a ride somewhere. And then later on you just said, hey, I never got that apple, so I don't have to give you a ride. There's no way that I could ever prove in real life that I gave you the apple or didn't. What I would have to have in real life, which is totally unrealistic, is a real book that I open up, and it's like a ledger where I take record of what happened, and also a third party that's standing over us and watching this take place. But with the digital version, we don't need either of those things. The ledger is automatic. It always takes place and everyone can trust it because it's completely transparent. And no third party needs to oversee it because it all happens automatically. It's just as if I handed you that apple in real life, but it's even better. And another reason that's even better is because I could theoretically hand you 1,000 digital apples, 10,000, 100,000. Whereas in real life, that would be very difficult for me to do. I would have to bring in an entire semi-truck in order to give you those apples. And plus, I can send you thousands of apples across the world nearly instantly. And I don't have to hire a shipping company or a refrigeration company or a third party to verify that, logistically speaking, it got from point A to point B or anything like that. And we don't have to worry about keeping records because it's all done automatically. And you might be thinking to yourself here, well, Shane, there's one big difference here, and that is I can't eat a digital apple. And you're right there, you can't, kinda. But you could exchange that digital apple for a real one or exchange it for currency that you could use to buy a real apple. But in order to understand this fully, let's go over a brief history of money. All right, so let's imagine it's like 10,000 years ago and we're in an ancient village and I have an apple and you have a fish. And I own an apple tree, so I have plenty of apples, and you're a fisherman, so you have plenty of fish. So we both decide to trade. You give me your fish and I give you my apple. Now that's great and all, but there's a small problem here. My apples are only available about 3 months out of the year, and the other 9 months of the year, the trees are frozen, and so we don't really have access to them. And all of the excess apples that I don't eat rot away and die. And then the same thing goes for you. Fish only migrate at a certain time during a different 3 months of the year. And so there's parts of the year where I have tons of apples and you have no fish, and then there's other parts of the year where you have lots of fish and I have no apples. And so basically what we would have to do in order to cooperate and give each other value is we would have to make an IOU. I would give you apples at a certain time of the year so you can eat as many as you want. And then later on in the year, I would come back to you and I'd be like, hey, you remember all those apples I gave you? Can I have some of your fish? And hopefully, if you're an honest and trustworthy person, which most people are, you would give me some of your fish back. But what if later on in the year, something happened and you weren't able to get any fish? then you still owe me for the apples, but you're not able to repay me in fish. Or honestly, any other number of things could happen. I could work really hard, give you a ton of value, and never receive anything in return, and that's kind of scary. So that's why a lot of ancient people started using things like seashells, for instance, in order to basically be a store of value or an IOU. So I would give you apples at a certain time of the year, and you would give me seashells, and then later on in the year, I would trade my seashells that you gave me for fish. But there's also a big problem with seashells. First of all, they're not very durable. They're really hard to store. If you try to store them, you'll probably end up crushing them, especially if you have a lot of them. And then on top of that, they're extremely scarce in some parts of the world and incredibly abundant in other parts. So people who lived by the ocean would basically be rich, they'd be big ballers, whereas people who lived inland would be very poor and they wouldn't be able to get their hands on seashells. And of course, that's not fair. So the people who were inland would be like, I don't want to do that. And so that's why we all sort of stumbled upon precious metals like gold and silver being the best stores of value. Gold and silver are pretty durable, and they're also relatively evenly spread out throughout the planet. And so during the time of the year where I was harvesting apples, you would give me some gold or silver, and then later on in the year when there was lots of fish, I would give you some of that gold and silver back. And this was basically money 1.0. This was kind of like the best version of the first type of money. So first of all, gold can be incredibly heavy. So if you wanted to carry your gold around and buy something that's really valuable, it would be very difficult for you to do that. You might need like a bunch of wagons or a bunch of horses just to carry it around. And so then came the gold standard. And this is basically where they had money, paper money, but that money was backed by real gold. So this paper money was much easier for you to carry around. You could buy yourself a brand new horse, a brand new wagon very easily without having to carry all of your gold around everywhere with you, which would be really inconvenient and also dangerous. And this paper money had value because it was backed by gold. Gold is something that is scarce, and it's something that everyone agrees has value. And so at any time you could go and exchange this paper money for gold if you wanted to. But then came paper money that was not backed by gold. This is paper money that was backed by powerful empires or governments. And as long as these empires or governments are responsible, this is technically fine as well. As long as everyone agrees that the money has value, this can be all good and dandy. They are able to print the money left and right, and it's not backed by gold, so they don't have to have like gold stores or anything like that. And that is how inflation happens, and we have seen this dozens of times before with the Zimbabwe dollar, with Germany in the early 1900s, where you have like $1 trillion and you can't even buy like a tiny piece of bread with it. But then we had the first digital currencies, and a lot of the times these were just currencies that websites created. And so you could exchange your money for a currency within the website, and then you could use that currency on the website to buy things that they sell. Now, this was cool as well, but there was also a big problem here, and that is the person who controlled the currency on the website could be just like one of these governments, and they could just create more of it, and of course use that to benefit them. And then cryptocurrency came along, and this is basically money 3.0. Now, the first cryptocurrency was Bitcoin. This was created in 2009 by an entity named Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, at the time, we thought this was an actual person, but since then, we're not really sure. We still don't know who Satoshi is. And Bitcoin has a max total supply of 21 million. So there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins in the entire world. So instead of being inflationary like most money is, most fiat currencies, and they're inflationary because one, you can just duplicate them at any time, either the government printing it or people creating fake money like counterfeiting. Bitcoin will never be inflationary because of the fact that there can only be 21 million. And it's estimated that millions of those Bitcoins have already been lost and they will never be recovered. So in reality, there's probably only more like around 15 million Bitcoin left. And Bitcoin can be sent anywhere in the world, and whenever it's sent from one person to another, there is an automatic record of that transaction that has taken place on the blockchain. Now, realistically, realistically speaking, as a technology, Bitcoin is a little bit lacking. It's slow, it's inefficient, but it is a good store of value. Since then, much better cryptocurrency technologies have come out, such as Ethereum, and Ethereum was released in 2015 by Vitalik Buterin. Now, Ethereum is faster, it's more efficient, and it also uses what are known as smart contracts. And we're going to get into what smart contracts are a little bit later on. It also uses decentralized apps. And basically what you want to know about this, we're going to get into it more later on, is it has a lot more utility. And these are basically applications that run on a blockchain and they cannot be controlled by a central authority. And then a really simple way to explain what a smart contract is let's say that you and I want to trade an apple for a pencil. And we're really far away in the world. We're like 100 miles away. And, you know, in order to do this in real life, one of us would have to send it first. And then when the other person received the apple, then they would send the pen. But there's a problem with that because one person could just receive the apple and then cut communication and never send the pen. What a smart contract does is you both send the apple and the pen to this intermediary contract. And then once it knows that it's gotten both the apple and the pen, then it sends them to the right person. So you and I do not have to trust each other in order to trade goods. Now, there's a ton of other uses for smart contracts. They can do a heck of a lot more than that. And again, I'm going to get into that later on in the video. But just know that smart contracts and decentralized applications are incredibly useful. And then in 2017, Cardano came out, and this one was created by Charles Hoskinson. And Cardano had what's known as proof of stake. Now, technically, they weren't the first coin to do this. Purecoin was the first. But proof of stake is a lot better than what was used with Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is proof of work. And proof of work is basically where in order to verify a transaction, aka have it on that ledger, you would have to solve incredibly complex problems, and then you would get rewarded for solving those problems by, first of all, getting to verify that transaction, but second of all, receiving some Bitcoin for free. So this is what incentivized people to mine Bitcoin. But the problem with that is that it wasn't very eco-friendly, and so proof of stake came along. And proof of stake is basically where you get to verify transactions, same as in the Bitcoin example, but in this case, you're just simply holding a bunch of that cryptocurrency and staking it. So the more cryptocurrency you hold, the more transactions you get to verify. Now, staking is faster and more efficient. It's also much more eco-friendly. But then 2019 came along and Solana was released by Anatoly Yakovenko. And Solana has what's known as proof of history, which is a more advanced version of proof of stake. And it verifies transactions in such a way that's faster, more efficient, and even cheaper. And what started off as just a few cryptocurrencies is now over 9,000. In fact, it's over 15,500. And by the time you watch this video, I mean, who knows how many it's going to be. It might be over 20,000. So you might be asking yourself, what exactly is blockchain? Well, the technical definition is a system in which a record of transactions made in Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency are maintained across several computers that are linked in a peer-to-peer network. And this is by Oxford Languages. So just an example of this is cryptocurrency versus blockchain. What the heck is the difference between these two things? Well, Bitcoin itself is the cryptocurrency and the blockchain is the distributed public ledger. So Bitcoin is all about having value, but doing it anonymously, whereas blockchain is all about being transparent. There's that public ledger that anybody can check at any time to make sure no shenanigans happen. And so in a really weird way, you're able to have your cake and eat it too. You can do anonymous transactions that are also completely transparent. So how does cryptocurrency work? Well, blockchain, we've already established that. It's a public ledger that records all transactions. And then the crypto part of cryptocurrency stands for cryptography. And this basically means crypto can't be copied or broken into. And a message can be sent from one person to another person without being intercepted. Only person A knows what the message is until it gets to person B, and then they know what that message is as well. And so you're able to send and receive data relatively anonymously. Now, some cryptocurrency are more anonymous than others, and I'll get into that later. And there is a set supply, and a government or an empire or a powerful business can't just print more whenever they want. And it can perform functions such as smart contracts. And we kind of went over what those were before. So right now, if I own a house and I want to sell you that house for $1 million, we have to go through a bunch of different middlemen, a bunch of different intermediaries in order to make that happen. And usually it's going to cost me somewhere between $60,000 to $70,000 in order to sell that house to you. Whereas with cryptocurrency, we could theoretically cut out all of the middlemen and sell that house from person A to person B without having to pay hardly anything. And we would have what's known as a smart contract, which doesn't require any trust in order to do that. And what that smart contract would say is you get to receive the deed of this house once $1 million has been transferred from you to me. Now, this is a very oversimplified example, but you can probably see here how smart contracts could be used in so many different ways. Now, mining is what creates units of cryptocurrency, but it's also how you verify what transactions have taken place on the blockchain. And usually when you hear the term mining, that refers to proof of work. Now, proof of work is basically being phased out for the most part. Ethereum, for instance, started off as proof of work, and they're switching to proof of stake because, like I said, it's faster, it's more efficient, it's cheaper, and it's also more eco-friendly. So you'll also hear staking as a way to verify transactions as well. So mining, how does it work? Creates new coins, solves complex mathematical problems in order to do this, validates cryptocurrency transactions on a blockchain, adds the transactions to a distributed public ledger, and it prevents the problem of double spending on a digital currency or a network. And that's basically where a currency could get intercepted if I'm sending it to you and then duplicated without us even knowing, or just duplicated in general if one party knows and the other party doesn't. And it incentivizes or rewards miners for securing the network. And this is done via proof of work, which, like I said, is very energy intensive. And here's kind of a picture of a mining rig. So this is what somebody would have to set up in order to mine something like Ethereum or Bitcoin. Now, you might be asking the question, where can you get cryptocurrency? You can get crypto from other people in person, of course. So two people could meet up with each other and they could trade Bitcoin with each other. That's one way of doing it. There's also Bitcoin ATMs and different cryptocurrency ATMs where it's basically exactly like a money ATM, but instead of getting money from it, you would put money into it and then receive cryptocurrency in return. Another way of doing it is to use a traditional brokerage or trading application like Webull. Now, there's pros and cons to doing it this way, which we will get to later on in the video. Another way of getting crypto is to buy it on a crypto exchange or a crypto exchange platform with money. So we are going to be doing this later on in the video, and we're going to be using Coinbase, and we're also going to be doing it with Webull as well. So I'm going to show you basically two different ways of getting a hold of cryptocurrency, and these are both going to be online ways that are relatively easy. And then you can also buy cryptocurrency on a crypto exchange with other cryptocurrency. So you could get Bitcoin in real life from another person or from a Bitcoin ATM, and then you could sell that Bitcoin on a cryptocurrency exchange for Ethereum or whatever other type of crypto you want. So what exactly are crypto exchanges? They are platforms where you can buy, sell, or exchange cryptocurrencies. And this can be done sometimes with money, but it can also be done with other types of crypto. Now, some of these exchanges are incredibly advanced and some of them are very simple. And later on in this video, we're going to go over examples of each. Now, why exactly is cryptocurrency so popular? Why do you keep hearing about it on the news, on the radio, different articles, on YouTube, on TikTok, etc.? Well, one of the big reasons, and let's just be honest and straightforward about this, some people in the cryptocurrency community wouldn't admit this, but phenomenal gains, okay? Most people invest in cryptocurrency because they want to get big gains. Now, one example of this, a famous example, is in 2010, Bitcoin was worth about 1 penny, and now it hit an all-time high of over 68,000, around $70,000. So that is a 680,000x or 680 million% increase since 2010. So about 10 years. So over that same span of time, that of course beats any stock out there by a mile. And there's a story of a guy, his name was Laszlo. He was a Florida man. Here's a picture of him, and he basically bought a pizza with Bitcoin. And he had an agreement with the pizza guy to give him 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. And that 10,000 Bitcoin is now worth well over $500 million. And the day that the transaction took place, May 22nd, is now known as Bitcoin Pizza Day. So here's a picture of this guy. You can look at the expression on his face and just try to picture what is going on inside of his head as he realizes that he basically gave away $500 million for 2 pizzas. And you hear cryptocurrency referred to as number go up technology. Now, at first when you hear this, it might sound kind of sketchy, but it's actually kind of a good thing because it's basically saying that instead of being inflationary like money is, it's deflationary. Over time, many cryptocurrencies actually gain in value rather than losing value. And they are designed to do this because they're designed to be scarce. But another reason that cryptocurrency is so popular is because it's decentralized. You don't necessarily have to go through some powerful company or a government or some type of organization that controls the money supply in order to get a hold of cryptocurrency. And you can trade things from person A to person B without having to go through a middleman. It's also relatively anonymous, and some cryptocurrencies are more anonymous than others. You don't necessarily have to give up any personal information in order to make a trade. And cryptocurrency is incredibly useful. Smart contracts take out the need for middlemen, and we're going to go into all the different use cases later on in the video. I'm going to really thoroughly go into that, but there's also the metaverse. This is incredibly exciting, and cryptocurrency is going to be a huge part of that. But there are so many different uses for cryptocurrency. So what are altcoins? Altcoins are basically cryptocurrency other than Bitcoin. They are generally considered to be more risky than Bitcoin because Bitcoin was basically the first cryptocurrency, and so it's always going to have some value, or it probably will. And they all have different characteristics. And like I said before, usually the technologies are better than Bitcoin, let's be honest, but Bitcoin is now seen as a store of value, almost like a bar of gold. So what are the different types of cryptocurrencies? Well, these are some of the major ones. You've got payment currencies, and that's exactly what it sounds like. You've got blockchain economies, stable coins, privacy coins, utility tokens, DeFi-related cryptocurrencies, metaverse-related cryptocurrencies, and also gaming cryptos. So let's go over a few examples for each of these. Payment currencies are used to pay for goods and services. So all cryptocurrencies can technically be used as payment currencies, but some of them are more specifically designed for that. And one example of this would be Bitcoin Cash, and that is the symbol for Bitcoin Cash on the top right. Now, the next on the list is going to be blockchain economies, and this can be used for payments, of course, and it can be used as a store of value as well, but they have more functionality beyond that. So a blockchain economy, an example of this would be Ethereum, can be used to create what are known as tokens. They also can have decentralized applications and smart contracts like we talked about before. And a few examples of these are Ethereum, EOS, and Tron. Next on the list are going to be stable coins, and these are basically coins that have a fixed price. So Tether, for example, 1 Tether equals $1. So if you have 1 million Tether, that should technically mean that you have $1 million. And the reason people like these is because sometimes it can take a little bit of time to get your money off of the cryptocurrency market, right? There could be a few days, for instance, if you try to, take your money out. And so in this time, cryptocurrency is very volatile. It could lose half of its value or more. And so what you would do instead is you would transfer all of your cryptocurrency to a stable coin. And by doing that, you're basically locking in the value. Now, they are supposed to be backed by actual money, but there's some controversy there. So for instance, a lot of people think that Tether is not backed by actual money. Not going to get into that. You can look that up on your own if you'd like. But some other alternatives to Tether is USD coin as well as DAI. Another one is privacy coins, and these are even more anonymous than the normal cryptocurrencies, because the number of coins sent and received are not available to the public. And also the balances of the different wallets are not available to the public either. And because of that, transactions are borderline untraceable. Now, these, of course, are very controversial because many of them are used to buy things that are illegal. And a lot of exchanges won't even touch privacy coins. They won't let you hold them. They won't let you buy them, etc. And governments are also cracking down on these. So a couple examples of these would be Monero, Zcash, as well as PIVX. The next one on the list is going to be utility tokens. So these are tokens that are run under a blockchain economy. And we just talked about a blockchain economy. An example of that would be Ethereum. And they can be used for specific products or services. So an example of this, because I know this is probably a little bit complicated, the blockchain economy is Ethereum. The utility token would be Chainlink. And this is what's known as an ERC20 token. All tokens under Ethereum are ERC20. So a few examples of this would be, of course, Chainlink, as well as Basic Attention Token, or BAT. All right, so another type of cryptocurrency is going to be DeFi-related crypto. DeFi stands for decentralized finance. And this is exactly what it sounds like. So it's basically all these different financial services, except it's on the blockchain instead of, in real life or on Wall Street. So for instance, they replace banks. You can invest your money, you can trade your assets, you can earn interest, you can borrow, you can lend. In many ways, they also replace exchanges. And because it's decentralized, it's much faster. There's less middlemen. And of course, all the middlemen are taking a cut. It's much more flexible as well. So you can move your assets from point A to point B anytime you want. Whereas a lot of the time, if you try to move your assets from a bank account, you might have to wait 5 days. Or same thing if you try to move your assets from an exchange. It's also open to anyone. So in order to open an account on an exchange, you have to provide a bunch of personal information. You'll have to give them your social security card. You'll have to give them proof of income, tell them what your job is, give them your first, your last, your birthday, all kinds of different information you have to give them in order to open an account on an exchange. With DeFi, you don't have to give them that information because you're literally just trading cryptocurrency, digital currency from one person to another that has nothing to do with any government or central authority. And because of that, it's kind of pseudo-anonymous. And this is basically a digital alternative to Wall Street. And the best thing about DeFi, this is the one that everyone really cares about, is you get much higher interest rates. Most bank accounts will give you about 0.1% interest for keeping your money in the account. Some of the best ones might give you like 1 to 2% interest. With DeFi, 10% is the standard, and there are examples where you can get even up to 15, 20% interest for holding certain types of cryptocurrency. So because of the fact that you're taking out all of these middlemen, and because of the fact that it's in deflationary technology, not inflationary like money, you get a significant return on your interest. The next type of cryptocurrency is metaverse-related crypto. So the metaverse is an immersive visual world that uses either virtual reality or augmented reality. Virtual reality would be where, you have the headset on and everything you're seeing is in the virtual world. It's basically like being inside of a video game. Whereas augmented reality is more like the game Pokemon Go, where you're looking at your phone and you can see Pokemon in the phone, but you can also see the real world as well. So it's like semi-digital world. And this integrates virtual reality with blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. Now, this has incredible potential, and I don't even have time to go into how much potential this has, but it could be similar to the movie Ready Player One, if you've seen that movie. Without all the downsides of that movie, hopefully. But you can be in a virtual world. You can be interacting with other people. So for instance, you could watch movies in the virtual world and like be inside of the movie rather than watching it on a screen. Or you can play video games in a virtual world as well. But also it's a little bit more practical. You can study remotely. So if we had this as an option during the pandemic, it of course would have been much easier to get back to school. You can also learn remotely. So they could create games, so to speak, for teaching you sales. So you could interact with people remotely and try to, sell whatever your product is to them and learn in a virtual world without having to suffer the pain of getting rejected in the real world. And a few examples of cryptocurrency that are metaverse related would be Decentraland, Engine Coin, and Axie Infinity. Now, gaming crypto is very closely related to metaverse crypto, and I think gaming crypto, the reason I gave it its own category is I think that this is probably the biggest use case for metaverse related cryptocurrencies, and it's very similar to metaverse, but it has more of a focus on entertainment. So in-game currencies that are within the game would be cryptocurrency backed, so they wouldn't be able to be duplicated or any, sketchy stuff like that. But they'll also have more real world value because currency that you earn in game will be cryptocurrency that you can exchange for real life money. So really quickly, I'll give you an example. I remember way back in the day, I used to play RuneScape, and there were these items called party hats. And at the time they came out, party hats were not worth much. They were like maybe 1 GP, which is gold piece, within the game, which is not much at all. Now, the most expensive party hats are worth over $10,000. So back then, you had collected a bunch of party hats, say, 100 of them, which were only 1 gold piece each, so they would have been really easy to collect. You would now be a millionaire. A game that's a little bit more popular, Call of Duty, there's certain skins that you get on that game, which are kind of like characters that you can play as that, you had to be playing the game early on in order to get those characters. And imagine if you could trade those characters in games you don't play anymore for a cryptocurrency that you could then use either in another video game or pull that out and use it in real life. You would essentially get paid to play their game. Now, this is, of course, a little bit controversial because, we don't want the world to end up like the movie Ready Player One. That's a pretty messed up movie. There's a lot to talk about here, but I'm focusing more on the positive upside of it. But I can tell you that, in my opinion, metaverse and gaming related cryptocurrencies are going to take over the world in a very similar way that social media did in the early 2000s. So the metaverse from the year 2020 to 2040 is going to have as significant of an impact on the world, if not maybe even more, than social media did from 2000 to 2020. That is my personal opinion. Always do your own research. I'm not giving financial advice, but that's just my opinion. All right, so some common cryptocurrency terms that you must know if you are going to get into the cryptocurrency space. I'm going to really quickly go over these, not really going to explain them too much, but they will always be here for your reference if you need them in the future. So meme coin is a cryptocurrency made as a result of a joke or a meme. Very debatable whether these coins have actual real value. However, some of them have astronomical gains. So for instance, Dogecoin shot up in value recently. It created a bunch of millionaires. Shiba Inu coin did the same thing. So most of them don't really have that much function. Some of them kind of claim that they have a little bit of function, but nothing compared to a lot of other coins. However, they're just really popular, and so they kind of shoot up in value. Be very, very careful if you decide to invest in meme coins. That's all I'm going to say. Tokenomics, this of course is the combination of token and economics, and it's basically the economics of cryptocurrencies. So it's the study of the quality, distribution, and production of tokens, and there's more of a focus on the supply and demand characteristics of a token. The fact that many of them are deflationary rather than being inflationary like money or fiat. FUD means fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And FUD started as a common propaganda tactic. It's used all the time in politics, sales and marketing, and public relations. And this is where like a bunch of articles come out on a cryptocurrency that question its value, question whether it's going to stay up or whether it's going to crash. We have seen cryptocurrency articles saying that, Bitcoin was going to crash to zero. Since the early 2000s, like 2010, we were seeing tons of articles like this. And of course, it never has happened. Has it crashed down in value? Yes, but it's always over time continued to go up. Now, FUD can also be used sort of dismissively as well. So a lot of people will say FUD in such a way where they're basically trying to say that you shouldn't have any fear, you shouldn't have any doubt, you shouldn't think critically at all. Just put all of your money into cryptocurrency. So, it kind of is a double-sided coin. Obviously, you should think logically about cryptocurrency if you're making investments in it. FOMO is the fear of missing out, and it's basically a feeling that you are missing out on some type of big opportunity. And the most important thing about FOMO when it comes to cryptocurrencies is most people FOMO into crypto when it's really popular. So when the media is talking a lot about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, you are much more likely to see it because a ton of people are talking about it. And because of the fact that you've seen it and you hear all these stories about it, that is when you're most likely to invest in it. And a lot of the time, that's not the right time to invest. And ironically, the best time to invest in cryptocurrency is when nobody's talking about it. So when the media tends to talk the most about cryptocurrency, that's when you know that most of the gains from crypto have already happened. An ICO is an initial coin offering. And this is very similar to an IPO in the stock market, if you're familiar with that, which is an initial public offering. And that's when a stock is first available to the public. And it's a form of crowdfunding for a cryptocurrency. And you basically get access to a cryptocurrency right before it hits the market. Now, ICOs are incredibly risky. There's very little regulation for ICOs. So there's lots of scams out there and you want to be very careful. However, some ICOs have incredible gains. And one that I was involved with was Telcoin. That's the one in the top right. And I put about $300 into the Telcoin ICO. And at one point, it went up to well over $10,000. So I had absolutely ridiculous gains on that. It's well over 300x. Dollar cost averaging is another term you're going to hear a lot. And this is where you invest a sum of money in small increments instead of all at once. So let's say you have $12,000. Instead of investing all of that $12,000 at once, you invest $1,000 per month for 12 months. And basically what this does is it limits risk and it takes advantage of market downturns. And this is usually done periodically, which means at regular intervals. So once a month would be an example of periodically. And this can actually be set automatically on many exchanges. So there's an option where you could maybe, invest $1,000 per month on an exchange and it'll just automatically do it for you. And this is a strategy that many people do to limit the risk because cryptocurrency is very risky when it comes to your investments. It's very volatile and it goes up and down all the time. So instead of trying to time the market, you just dollar cost average into it. And over time, maybe over a 10-year period, it goes up 10x or 20x or whatever. But you don't have to take the chance that you bought in when it was high and then you sell when it's low. Taking profits is kind of on the other side of dollar cost averaging, which is when you start to sell as the cryptocurrency goes up in value. So this is another way for you to limit risk. So this is where you start selling your cryptocurrency in order to lock in gains after it has risen in price. Now, usually this will be a predetermined price. So for instance, let's say you buy a cryptocurrency at $1,000 and it's just like one crypto is $1,000. And then you tell yourself, I'm going to sell 20% of this cryptocurrency when it gets to $2,000. And then I'm going to sell another 20% when it gets to $3,000 and so on and so forth. And this is another way for you to limit your risk. And it usually happens when people know they're towards the top of a bull market. Circulating supply is another thing that you will hear a lot of. And this is the total number of coins or tokens that are actively available for trade. So when a coin first comes on the market, usually they don't give away the whole supply all at once. Usually only a portion of the total supply is made available for trade. So an example here, and I'm going to use this in the next few slides, is let's say that a coin comes on the market and the circulating supply is 500,000. So there's 500,000 of these coins or tokens that are circulating and available in free trade. However, there are other coins that may be held in reserve. And this would be the total supply, which is the total amount of coins that are available right now. And we could say that the total supply is 750,000. Now, knowing what the circulating supply, knowing what the total supply is, can affect the per unit price. Because if people know how many coins are available right now, and they also know how many coins might be available in the near future, that can affect the actual value of the coin itself. So this is very important for you to know before you start investing in a coin. If there's only a 10% circulating supply available for that coin, then you know that 90% of the coin has not been released yet. And that is not a good sign because that means that when that is released, the value of the coin is likely going to go down. Total supply is the total amount of coins that exist right now. So for instance, in our example, we had a $500,000 coin circulating supply and a total supply of 750,000 coins. However, one thing to say here is more coins could potentially exist in the future. And it's very important to know if this is possible. So kind of an example here of one that's a little bit scary is AXS, which only 22% in this example of the coins are available right now. And it has a max supply of 270,000. And max supply is different than circulating supply because this is the total amount of coins that will ever exist in the lifetime of the cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin, for instance, has a max supply of 21 million. 21 million and one coins will never exist for Bitcoin. It is impossible. Only 21 million max can ever exist. However, the circulating supply right now is about 18 million. So the ratio or the percentage of circulating supply to max supply is incredibly important to know. And right at this time, about 90% of the Bitcoin that will ever exist has already been mined and is already in circulation. Market cap is another very important thing to know, and this is the total value of the cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin's market cap is hovering around $1 trillion right now. And the total market cap is the total value of all cryptocurrencies, which is currently over 2 trillion. A decentralized autonomous organization, also known as a DAO. It's an organization that is on a blockchain. It's automated, it facilitates crypto transactions, and it's created by developers. And usually with these types of organizations, token holders have voting rights. Now, this has a lot of really cool real life uses. So as an example, you get to vote in the direction that the cryptocurrency is going. But it can be used in real life as well. So for instance, let's say you had a DAO for voting privileges within a country. You could directly vote on different laws or different politicians that you want to elect within that country. Same thing if you owned stock in a company. You would have voting privileges directly from owning a DAO, and you could basically pair the DAO with the stock. So there are a lot of really cool in real life uses for this that are outside of just the cryptocurrency world. Now, a governance token kind of goes along with a DAO, and these are tokens that represent your ability to vote on a blockchain, and it distributes rights and powers to users. So these are decentralized powers, and you have a say in the direction of the cryptocurrency itself. So the DAO is the organization, and the governance token is a token that gives you the right to vote on the direction of that organization. A smart contract is an agreement in the form of a contract that runs on a blockchain, and when predetermined conditions are met, the smart contract executes, completes between multiple different parties. This is trustless. The parties do not have to trust each other. It takes out unnecessary middlemen. It's incredibly efficient compared to real life. And so, for instance, property details in real estate, like title management, handing over the deed or the title to a house to another person, selling it from person A to person B. Right now, it's an incredibly messy process. And a lot of the time, like I mentioned before, for $1 million house, you're probably going to be paying like $70,000 in fees. Using a smart contract, you can cut those fees down significantly and you can make it a lot more efficient. Also, protecting healthcare data. Right now, hospitals very rarely share healthcare data with other hospitals because they're so afraid that it's going to get leaked. And because of this, patients get subpar treatment because other hospitals aren't aware of the patient's pre-existing conditions, what medications they're taking, etc. So smart contracts could be used to safely and securely share that data so a patient can get better care. Proof of work, we kind of went over this before. This is what's used to mine Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it's also used to verify transactions. Very inefficient, and it also uses a lot of energy. So here's an example of a factory somewhere that is mining Bitcoin. You can see all the computers, all the rigs they have set up there. Uses a ton of energy, and it's incredibly inefficient. Proof of stake is a way for you to mine or validate a blockchain transaction by simply holding coins. The more coins you hold, the better you are at mining and validating. And the better you are at mining and validating, the more money you get from staking. And instead of being called mining, it's now called staking. So it's much more efficient than proof of work, much less energy is expended. And one example of a crypto that uses proof of stake is Cardano. So scalability, this is another thing you're going to hear, another term you're going to hear thrown around a lot. It's the ability of a cryptocurrency blockchain to handle a large influx of transactions. So Ethereum 1.0 was very fast at first. And now it's relatively slow and expensive. A lot of transactions take, up to 10 minutes and they're very expensive. The other day I made a video on NFTs, and in order to list an NFT online, it cost me like $80. Now, Ethereum 2.0, when it's fully rolled out, which it's only partially rolled out right now, claims to solve this issue, but it hasn't yet. Bitcoin can only handle about 7 transactions per second, or TPS. This is another thing you're going to hear a lot. And going above 7 transactions per second makes the transaction slower and much more expensive. Now, Solana, they claim, can handle well over 50,000 transactions per second, and I believe them. And Solana does this by using a type of proof of stake known as proof of history. Now, tokens, there are 3 main types of tokens non-fungible tokens, NFTs, utility tokens, and governance tokens. We're going to go over each of them. And by the way, guys, fungibility is something that is fungible is able to be replaced by another identical item. So $2 bills are fungible. 2 bars of gold are also fungible. However, the Mona Lisa, a piece of artwork, is not fungible. You can't replace the Mona Lisa with another Mona Lisa. So a non-fungible token, also known as an NFT, is a token that is not fungible. It cannot be replaced by something else. So a token is a virtual currency or a denomination of a cryptocurrency. We've already gone over that. And then a one-of-a-kind or non-fungible verified asset that can be traded using blockchain technology. So the most common type of NFT is artwork. So one example is CryptoPunk number 4156 was purchased for $10.2 million. And this is a CryptoPunk that is an NFT, and somebody thought it was worth $10.2 million. Now, I'm not going to get too much into NFTs here. A lot of controversy there. A lot of people think they're basically useless or worthless. I have kind of a nuanced opinion on them. I think a lot of them are useless and worthless, but I also see a lot of upside and opportunity within the NFT marketplace as well. Not going to get into that in this video. Utility tokens, basically they are running on a blockchain, of course. So they could be running on like the Ethereum blockchain, and they're used to purchase goods and services that are offered. And so for instance, you could have a utility token that could be like a gift card or a public transportation ticket. So instead of buying a ticket from New York to Hong Kong, for instance, you could buy a utility token and exchange that utility token for a flight from New York to Hong Kong. And so basically they are tokens that have a specific use. You could also buy a gift card that would be a utility token where you can only exchange that gift card at a certain company. Governance tokens, already went over this one, so if you want to read it, you can. But basically, a lot of the time, the more tokens you have, the more vote you have. And sometimes you have to pay your tokens back to the blockchain in order to maintain your voting stake in that blockchain. So now we're going to go over some of the most popular cryptocurrencies, and we're going to talk about what makes them special. So Bitcoin, this was the first cryptocurrency, very basic. It's basically a great store of value. The way I want you to think about Bitcoin is it's somewhere in between a digital bar of gold and a really rare trading card. So imagine you had a really rare trading card like an original Michael Jordan card or Tom Brady or Babe Ruth or Charizard. That's kind of what Bitcoin is because it is the OG cryptocurrency and it will always have value in my opinion because of that. However, it's also kind of a good store of value. It's almost like a gold bar as well because you can sort of trade it like a currency. However, it is pretty inefficient. It's also not very eco-friendly, so you're probably not going to be making too many purchases with Bitcoin. And it is considered to be one of the safest investments within cryptocurrency. Ethereum, this is the original smart blockchain. You can do smart contracts on Ethereum. It's much more efficient than Bitcoin. It's still proof of work, although it's moving over to proof of stake. You can do approximately 30 transactions per second, but of course they think that they are going to be able to do much more than that after they fully transition to Ethereum 2.0, which is going to use proof of stake. And it's also considered to be one of the safest investments. Cardano is currently much faster than Ethereum, much more efficient than Ethereum, and it uses proof of stake. And right now they can do about 250 transactions per second. They have a 20-second block time, and they claim that after they upgrade in the future, they'll be able to do over 100,000 transactions per second. Solana is an incredibly fast blockchain network. It's very efficient. It uses an advanced version of proof of stake called proof of history. It's possibly an Ethereum killer, and they claim that they can do over 50,000 transactions per second. And I actually believe them. I think that they can, because a lot of the different blockchains claim that they can, but in reality, they probably can't. I think that Solana actually can handle well over 50,000 transactions per second. And when they upgrade in the future, they'll probably be able to do even more than that. So just to put this in perspective, Visa, like a Visa credit card, can handle around 1,700 to 24,000 transactions per second. So this one cryptocurrency can probably handle more transactions than all of Visa. And Visa is a massive company. I mean, think about how many people in the world have Visa debit cards and credit cards. It also has a 400 millisecond block time, so it's incredibly fast, less than half of a second. And it is scalable with hardware upgrades. So as hardware gets better, Solana is also going to get better and better. XRP is another really well-known cryptocurrency. It's owned by the company Ripple, and Ripple sells payment software to all kinds of different finance companies. And Ripple has positioned XRP as a high-speed payment and settlement system for these finance companies. And it can theoretically be used for incredibly fast transfer of money. And it wants to be used as the universal bridge asset between all different types of currencies. It has a distributed agreement protocol, which basically just means that miners are not needed to secure the network. And it can do over 1,500 transactions per second. That's what they claim. 4-second transactions, so relatively fast. And it's basically used to provide liquidity and make sure that transactions happen incredibly fast between different banks and financial institutions. And time is money, so if XRP can in fact do what they claim that it can do, it will save the companies a lot of time and money. However, right now they have some legal issues, and for that reason, some exchanges don't even list XRP. You can't even buy them. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. Most people think that XRP is going to get over those legal issues, and then it's likely going to increase in value quite a bit. Polkadot, very interesting cryptocurrency. You know, you've got all of these competing cryptocurrency blockchain networks like Ethereum, Solana, Cardano. These are all competing against each other to be the dominant network. What Polkadot did is they came in there and they were like, you know what? We don't want to compete with them. We want to unify everyone together. And so what Polkadot does is it enables cross-blockchain transfers of any type of cryptocurrency. So if you want to have some Ethereum, you have Ethereum tokens, but you want to transfer those tokens and transfer the value over to Cardano or Solana, that's what Polkadot theoretically enables. And you basically can just sell or lend space on the parachain network, almost like a car park. And you can transfer all kinds of different data from different blockchain networks. So I like this one because it's less competitive and more facilitating than other types of cryptocurrencies. Dogecoin is another one you hear all about. Started off as a complete joke, and this is the original meme coin. And it took off and it's gained a huge following. Astronomical gains last year. Many millionaires were made. Many people also lost all of their money because it's incredibly volatile. It seems like every time Elon Musk tweets about Dogecoin or anything that has to do with a Shiba Inu of any kind, which is the dog that is pictured on Dogecoin, it goes up. A lot. Shiba Inu was the coin that came after Dogecoin. It's another meme coin. And it basically was created to ride on Dogecoin's success. And it actually did surpass the market cap of Dogecoin at one point. It also had phenomenal gains. And it's basically supposed to be a slightly better version of Doge. Avalanche, also known as AVAX, is extremely fast, low cost, eco-friendly because it's proof of stake. Claims to do about 4,500 transactions per second. Less than 3-second transaction time. And what's interesting about AVAX is it actually uses 3 different blockchains, whereas the other ones usually just use one. It has an X, C, and P blockchain. And this is how it's able to solve a lot of the problems that Ethereum is having right now, and it's able to maintain speed and cost at scale, at least theoretically. Now, most of the ones that we talked about are what are known as layer 1 blockchains. Polygon, also known as Matic, is an example of a layer 2 blockchain. This is one that actually works on the Ethereum network. And it's used to make Ethereum transactions more efficient. So Polygon is basically going to be used to help scale Ethereum transactions. And Polygon is also proof of stake. Uniswap, this is both a cryptocurrency as well as a decentralized exchange. And it basically facilitates the trading of cryptocurrencies and tokens. And Uniswap basically creates liquidity in order to facilitate very fast trades. Algorand is another one that's supposed to be incredibly fast. They claim 46,000 transactions per second. It's extremely cheap. pretty fast. Transaction speeds 4.4 seconds, and it's possibly the most secure blockchain that does those high TPS. It's also proof of stake, and it's very regulation friendly. So this is another one of the big players. So these are some centralized exchange related cryptocurrencies. The Binance coin, also known as BNB. Binance is the largest exchange in the world. BNB was originally on the Ethereum blockchain, but it actually switched to its own blockchain. They switched it up. Now, BNB, a lot of the time, they actually destroy it if they don't need it. So this is one of those cryptocurrencies that has gained in value quite a bit. And it will likely gain in value even more in the future because they keep on destroying more and more of it. And it was originally used as a utility token just to give you discounted trading fees, but it can now be used for a multitude of different financial services, bookings, entertainment, paying transaction fees on Binance, etc. Crypto.com coin, very similar to BNB, but used on Crypto.com, another exchange. And Crypto.com is expanding into many different financial verticals. You've probably seen the ads on different videos for the Crypto.com credit card. All right, so we're going to really quickly go over some popular cryptocurrency exchange and cryptocurrency exchange platforms. And we're going to be going over some that are kind of more advanced and some that are not as advanced. And then we're also going to be talking about the ones that are centralized as well as the ones that are decentralized. So first of all, let's talk about the centralized exchanges. Coinbase, Binance, Crypto.com, Gemini, Kraken, KuCoin, FTX, and BlockFi. These are centralized exchanges or centralized exchange platforms. They're supposed to be safer, but that's really arguable. I guess it kind of depends on your version of safe. The decentralized platforms are actually more secure. They're harder to hack into. But the centralized platforms have more safeties for people. So they help keep you safe from yourself, from like making mistakes on your own, but they are not safer when it comes to other people hacking you, if that makes any sense. So you're safer from making mistakes on your own because they make it like relatively easy to use. However, you are less safe from other people. There's lots of verification on these. You have to provide a ton of information in order to use them. However, they are faster and cheaper transactions overall than decentralized exchanges. Decentralized exchanges usually cost a little bit more. So Coinbase, this is one of the ones we're going to be using later on in the video. Incredibly beginner friendly and easy to use. You are somewhat limited in what you can purchase. There's I believe less than 100 cryptocurrencies that you can buy. You can exchange your money for cryptocurrency. So you can use fiat money and buy cryptocurrency with it, whereas some of the exchanges you can't. You have to use cryptocurrency. They do have very strong security. They're also very picky about which cryptos they allow on their exchange. And you can upgrade to Coinbase Pro if you want more functionality. Binance, this is actually the largest exchange in the world. Many states in the United States don't support Binance, including mine. I live in Washington. So I had money on Binance, and unfortunately I had to rush to take all of that crypto off of Binance, which sucked. They do have relatively low fees compared to other transactions. They have a variety of different altcoins that you can buy. Very advanced charting technology, so you're able to see a lot of the Fibonacci levels and all that stuff if that's what you're into. It is more difficult for beginners, no doubt. Much more difficult to use than Coinbase. And the withdrawal fees are horrendous on Binance. And I got to find this out because I had to take all of my crypto off of Binance because they're not supported in Washington. Gemini, owned by the Winklevoss twins, very regulation friendly. They're US based, unlike Binance. One of Coinbase's biggest competitors. And they are still relatively beginner friendly. So when it comes to a beginner friendly centralized exchange, for me, the one I use is Coinbase. Gemini is a good second option. If for whatever reason you don't want to use Coinbase, I would say Gemini is also relatively beginner friendly as well. And by the way, the Winklevoss twins are the two rowers in the movie The Social Network, if you've seen that. And apparently Mark Zuckerberg stole the idea for Facebook from the Winklevoss twins. Kraken, really popular among professional traders, definitely not as beginner friendly. FTX, this is US based, very regulation friendly. Sam Bankman-Fried started FTX. He's kind of somewhat famous and popular within the cryptocurrency scene. Apparently, he has a net worth over $10 billion, and most of it was gained via cryptocurrency. Now, they seem to have really great customer service and just customer oriented in general, because Sam made the exchange because he was really frustrated with other exchanges. BlockFi, another one that is US based and regulation friendly. They're also heavily backed by venture capitalists. Very secure. Trading is somewhat limited in the cryptocurrency you can buy as well as stake. And the main focus for BlockFi is on staking. And BlockFi is what I use personally to stake. Now we're going to go on to the decentralized exchanges. And the two we're going to talk about are Uniswap and PancakeSwap. Now, these are safer from being hacked, so they're pretty much impossible to be hacked. Another thing about decentralized exchanges is you own the keys. And the keys are basically the series of random letters and numbers that you want to keep safe. You don't want to share them with anybody. And you owning those keys means that you own the crypto. There's this saying, not your keys, not your crypto, within the cryptocurrency community. And what this basically means is if you are on an exchange, like a centralized exchange, you technically own the cryptocurrency, but you don't have access to the keys. And so if that exchange gets hacked, someone can steal that cryptocurrency from you, even though your account never got hacked. Whereas with a decentralized exchange, in order for them to steal the crypto from you, they would have to hack your account. Now, there's less regulation here, and there's also less verification. So you don't have to provide a ton of information in order to use Uniswap, for instance. So Uniswap, this is the one that I use for decentralized exchange. Very, very safe. Uses MetaMask. That's the wallet that I use in order to trade on Uniswap. Ethereum fees can get really high, and it does have higher fees than PancakeSwap. So just be aware of that. PancakeSwap is another one, very similar to Uniswap. Some actually claim that they copied it, just straight up. But it does have lower fees than Uniswap. In my opinion, it's slightly less secure. However, it's still much more secure than a centralized exchange. Now, alternative ways of buying cryptocurrency, Webull, Robinhood, and peer-to-peer trading. We're going to talk about these. So Robinhood is probably the easiest one. The problem with this is, you know, on an exchange like Coinbase, you technically don't have the keys, so you don't own the cryptocurrency, sort of. But you really do own it because you can send it anywhere you want, right? You can buy the cryptocurrency on Coinbase and then send it to your wallet where you do own the keys. Whereas with Robinhood, you buy the cryptocurrency and you can't send it anywhere. You have to keep it on Robinhood or sell it right there. So you're basically buying it through a proxy company. Now, there's also relatively limited functionality on Robinhood. There's really not much you can do with the cryptocurrency. However, it does have very low fees. It is very easy to use, and it is a little bit faster than Coinbase. So on Coinbase, if you were to buy like $10,000 worth of cryptocurrency, it would take probably about 3 to 5 days before you can send all $10,000 to a different wallet. Whereas on Robinhood, it's a little bit faster than that. Same thing with Webull. The only difference is Webull is slightly less easy to use than Robinhood, and it has more functionality. Now, Webull is the one that I personally use. I always say whenever I mention Webull, you can get your free Webull stocks down in the description. At the time of recording this video, I think it's up to like $8,000 you could get up to in free stocks just by funding your Webull account. So definitely check that out down in the description below. It's pretty much just free money. And yeah, Webull, super, super easy to use. Slightly more difficult than Robinhood, but still incredibly easy. And then there's also peer-to-peer real-world trading. This is where you meet up with somebody in real life and you trade them, money for Bitcoin, for instance. And this is under the radar, possibly sketchy. Some people say that you could use this to, for instance, avoid paying taxes or use it for other nefarious purposes. And it's usually going to be a little bit more expensive than buying it on the internet, of course, because there is more to it. A person has to actually physically go somewhere and, take the time to trade you. Now, let's talk about cryptocurrency use cases. What can cryptocurrency actually be used for? I know that some people, even though we've gotten this far in the video, still are probably a little bit skeptical of crypto and they're wondering what the heck can you actually use it for? We're going to go over investing, banking and storage, smart contracts, decentralized finance, staking, metaverse, gaming cryptocurrency, money being stored value, and I'm going to elaborate on that. And then anonymity. So investing. First of all, incredible returns, much better than any company out there. Bitcoin has had unbelievable returns over the last 10 years, but it's also more volatile. So it goes up and down a lot more than traditional stock market investing. So it's basically high risk, but also high reward. Banking and storage. You can be your own bank with cryptocurrency. Theoretically, you no longer need to use a bank if you own cryptocurrency. You are also your own storage. So you're storing that cryptocurrency yourself. And instead of getting something like, 0.1%, or the best I've ever seen in my life from a bank was 2.57%, you get something more along the lines of 15%. So you get that profit instead of the bank. And there's also no bank fees. So this is an example of cryptocurrency basically replacing your bank. Smart contracts, unlimited real world function. I mean, this stuff, I could make an entire video just about smart contracts alone, but it makes things more efficient. You don't have to trust the other party, and it gets rid of so many unnecessary middlemen. Decentralized finance. So it doesn't just replace the banks, right? It actually replaces the majority of the entire financial system. Again, this is all theoretical. It hasn't exactly done that yet. And it claims to give back the power to the consumer. Now, the financial system is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. So you can basically access different financial products as well as services without having to go through powerful middlemen. And in some cases, you don't have to rely on the government at all. So it doesn't rely on banks, brokerages, or exchanges. So you are basically able to trade, store, buy, sell, etc. with another person without having to go through a middleman. You can even loan your cryptocurrency out to another person. So it basically does all of the functions of anything that you can think of in finance without actually having to go through a huge, powerful company or the government. So it replaces a lot of these middlemen that many people would consider to be unnecessary, and that saves a lot of money. And that money gets to go to you instead of these huge companies. The metaverse. So, learning, immersive worlds. There's so many things that you can do in the metaverse. We already talked about the learning example, how you could go to virtual classrooms. There's also probably going to be virtual work as well. But also think about immersive worlds. So let's say you are thinking to yourself, you know what? I'm not sure if I want to go to Costa Rica for my vacation or if I want to go to Thailand. Well, what you could do is you could step into the metaverse and you would be able to actually look at Thailand like as if you were actually there. There would be cameras set up there and you would be able to walk around like as if you were there. So you could see, you know what? Right now, it's really hot and I don't know if I want to go there. Or right now it's the rainy season. Or right now there's a lot of mosquitoes out. And so I'd rather go to Costa Rica than Thailand because of that. And so you're basically able to make more informed decisions on a vacation that you would want to take. Or you could just not go on the vacation at all and just enjoy the view from the comfort of your own home. And it would be just like you were there in person. You could also use it to remotely control robots. So instead of having firemen run into a burning building, you could control a robot that would have just as much dexterity as a fireman, and they could go into the building. Leisure activities, of course, like video games, virtual reality movies, etc. You could also virtually attend concerts. You could use the metaverse to design the perfect house in real life, and you could be inside of that house like as if you built it, and see how you feel about it. And then make little adjustments here and there so that when it actually gets built in real life, it's exactly what you imagined in your head. You could test drive cars without having to interact with a sketchy car salesman. There's just so many use cases for the metaverse. And like I said, this is going to be huge over the next 20 years. Now, the biggest use case, in my opinion, for the metaverse is going to be gaming. And that's gaming related cryptocurrency. And we basically went over this before, but you can actually get paid to play essentially. And you can also gamify other things. So for instance, you could make learning a lot more fun by making the virtual reality experience of learning into a game. So yeah, tons of opportunity there. The two spaces I'm most excited about are the metaverse and gaming cryptocurrencies. Out of everything, and trust me, I'm super excited about DeFi. That's awesome as well. But out of everything, the metaverse and gaming is the one that I focus the most time on. So I'm going to go over money equals stored value in a little bit more detail. Now, this is going to get a little bit philosophical, but bear with me. Money is supposed to be a representation of stored value. That's what fiat is supposed to be. but it isn't always perfect. Most money isn't backed by any real value or scarcity. It's simply just backed by the power of the government. And inflation, aka the government printing ridiculous amounts of money, or people just creating fake money, can make your money worthless. And central authorities that control the money can just simply take it from you. We've seen lots of videos, for instance, in the past of, at least here in the United States, seizure laws where your money can be taken from you for literally no reason whatsoever if they think that it is related to any criminal activity. So we've seen lots of videos, for instance, of police just taking people's money because they decided to carry it with them because they don't trust banks, because they think that it's drug related. They didn't need a warrant. They didn't need any verification from a judge. They just take it. And that's that. And another thing when it comes to the value of money is there are many, many different examples of different careers, for instance, that give arguably a lot of value. However, they aren't compensated correctly when it comes to the amount of fiat or money that they receive. Some common ones that a lot of people agree on would be teachers. I think teaching is probably one of the most important jobs in the world, and they don't tend to be compensated very well for that. Another really good historical example would be artists. Oftentimes, the most famous artists that you've ever heard of lived their entire life in poverty, and their art didn't get famous or didn't get valuable until after they had already died. And so even though millions of people enjoyed their art and people are willing to pay millions of dollars, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars for their paintings, they were never compensated for that value. Another example that's very common is scientists. Oftentimes, scientists will create things that save millions of lives and give untold amounts of value to the world. However, the people who are compensated for that value tend to be businessmen. And don't get me wrong, I'm a businessman myself. I own businesses. I have no problem with businessmen. But let's be real here. A lot of the time, when scientists and businessmen come together, the one who gets the shorter end of the stick is the scientists. There's many examples of this. I work in the pharmaceutical industry. A lot of the time, scientists that create pharmaceuticals that end up making billions of dollars get maybe like a tiny little raise, or they get like a $10,000 bonus or something along those lines, whereas the company itself makes billions of dollars, which is just totally ridiculous. So cryptocurrency has the ability to bridge these gaps in value. Now, don't get me wrong, the current financial system, the way money works, is better than it was 10,000 years ago, without a doubt. But there are still some downsides that I think cryptocurrency can correct. Another thing that cryptocurrency can do for you is it tends to make things anonymous, or relatively anonymous. It's possible to send and receive cryptocurrency without giving personal information. So you could literally be 15,000 miles away from me right now, and we could communicate, and within just a few minutes, I could send you like $10,000 worth of value. Now, when you have your financial information out there, it's easier to steal. You know, if you are on a computer, for instance, that's infected with a virus, and you create an account and you have like a keylogger, it's very easy for the computer to log on to that account and steal it. And if it's in a database, for instance, maybe you don't even have a virus on your computer. It could get stolen from the database. And it's much harder for companies to store or sell your information, and which also makes it much harder for people to be able to access and steal that information. You can also stake or loan your cryptocurrency and get much better returns than the 1% to 2% APR that you might get with some of the better bank accounts. Some of the least generous staking options still pay well over 8%, and much, much more. There's so many different use cases for cryptocurrency, and it's honestly just getting started. Now let's go over the pros and cons of buying cryptocurrency. So some of the pros, you have the possibility for incredible returns. You get a lot more money from staking or loaning out your cryptocurrency, and it can be really useful. So it actually has some functionality to it, which makes it better than traditional currency. The cons here are it can be very risky. There are a ton of crypto scams out there, and there's a lot of crypto projects that, let's be honest, are going to go to zero. You know, right now there's well over 15,000 different types of cryptocurrencies, and most of them are probably going to be worthless. So should you invest in cryptocurrency? This is obviously not financial advice. I'm just here to entertain and educate. But with that being said, in my opinion, I think crypto will be the best performing asset class again over the next 10 years. And I don't think it's even going to be close. However, with that being said, before you invest in cryptocurrency, you have to do your due diligence. You have to make sure to thoroughly investigate the cryptocurrency. Always DYOR or do your own research. Be careful, be very safe. Diversify your crypto. Don't just invest in one type. Dollar cost average. Invest periodically over a long period of time rather than dumping all of your money into the markets whenever everyone else is FOMOing. Invest for the long term. Rather than thinking about short-term projects that you think are going to go up within a few days, which is incredibly risky because there's a lot of really sketchy ones, there's a lot of rug pulls, there's a lot of pump and dump schemes. Invest for the long term. Look for the cryptocurrencies that have long-term value. And then take profits depending on your goals. Now, the last one is the most optional one, in my opinion. A lot of people just hold for the long term, and that's totally fine. But if you want to mitigate some of the risk and also take some of the profit so that you actually have more money in the short term, that's a good idea as well for you to take profit whenever it goes up a certain percentage. Now let's talk about cryptocurrency versus a more traditional type of investment, which is stocks. So cryptocurrency operates 24/7. The trades, depending on which crypto you're trading, are usually very fast. There is an option for you to be decentralized, so you don't have to give up a bunch of personal information. It has worldwide reach, so you can buy pretty much any cryptocurrency no matter what country you live in. The regulations right now are relatively slim, which could be a pro or a con depending on your opinion. There's more opportunity, but there's also more danger. Stocks are closed most of the week. So everybody knows that the stock market opens at a certain time and closes at a certain time, and you really can't make trades when it's closed. The trades that you do make are relatively slow compared to cryptocurrency. You also must go through a broker, and in order to do that, you have to give them a bunch of your personal information. Most of the time, these brokers are very limited in which stocks that you can invest in. So they're usually going to be localized stocks, and it's harder to invest in international stocks. So it's a little harder to diversify in many ways. It's also heavily regulated, which again can be a pro or a con depending on your opinion. However, you can argue that traditional stock investing is both safer as well as being more stable. Now, this is my first present for you. Here is a list of my favorite resources for doing research. Now, I'm not going to go over each of these and use them, but these are fantastic resources for doing research. And these are all free. So definitely look into these when you were thinking about whether or not you want to buy a cryptocurrency. Coin360 is great for like an aerial view of the entire cryptocurrency market. It basically maps everything out sort of like an index so you can see how much money is in each crypto. CoinMarketCap is good for all sorts of things that have to do with basic cryptocurrency research. DeFi Llama talks about some really cool stuff when it comes to decentralized finance. Twitter is surprisingly good depending on who you follow for cryptocurrency information. DApp Radar is really good for looking at decentralized applications and how much activity is happening on them. And then Google Trends is really good just to see how much hype or how many people know about a certain cryptocurrency, which oftentimes can be an indicator of the value. And then of course, reading the white paper for the cryptocurrency, which is basically what explains what the crypto is all about, is always a good idea. All right, so in order to make this video, I had to buy the cryptocurrency, but there usually is going to be several days where you have to wait before you can fully access it. So what I did is I bought the cryptocurrency several days ago, and it is now ready for me to access. And so I am going to jump to a video of me from the past for a few minutes. Hey guys, so this is Shane way in the future in the process of editing this video. And I realized that unfortunately the video I took where I bought $10,000 worth of Ethereum actually was corrupted. So I'm not going to be able to post that video. However, I'm just really quickly, as you can see, my account balance went up. I also bought some stuff at other times for other videos. And this is just the account that I use for videos. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the whole process of how to buy Ethereum. But I'm going to be specifically just buying a small amount because I already bought the other part in the other video. So you go up to the top right here where it says buy, sell. You click on that. Going to want to go to buy, click on Ethereum. And then right here under it where it says pay with, of course, I'll blur this part out. You want to select your bank. And that is the most common method. So easiest way to do this is to just get one of your checks. If you have a check, you can find the account number and the routing number. You can also log into your online version of your bank account, and usually they'll have your account number and your routing number there as well. So in this particular case, I'm just gonna do like $5 worth of Ethereum, go preview buy. Now it's gonna try to make it to where you can do a weekly buy. If you want to set that up, you definitely can. You can also set up monthly buy, et cetera, which is a really cool option, especially if you're just going to try to dollar cost average. But just for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and do $5 one time. So after you've made sure everything's good here, you're going to click buy now. In this particular case, there's going to be a horrendous 20% fee on my purchase because I'm only buying $5 worth. So don't recommend buying just a small amount on here because the fee is going to be, pretty similar depending on what the amount is. If it was a much larger fee, of course, that would be lower. And then after you're done, you're going to go ahead and click buy now. And as you can see, like let's say you bought 10,000, about $1,000 worth of the Ethereum would be available right away, but the rest of it is usually available within, on average, around 3 days. All right, guys, so back to Future Shane. I bought that cryptocurrency, and within just a few minutes, about 1,000 out of the 10,000 in Ethereum that I bought was immediately available. And then within about 4 days or so, approximately 4 days, the rest of the 9,000 was also available, so I could do anything that I wanted with it. So that's just to give you an idea how long it takes before it's fully available. So now we're gonna go over how to stake your cryptocurrency. So it's super, super easy on Coinbase, and I will admit Coinbase is definitely not the best when it comes to staking. Its staking rates are going to be lower than a lot of the ones that you could get. However, with that being said, it's better to stake it than for it to sit there and not get any interest at all. So if you are going to buy on Coinbase and you want to keep it on there, this is how you would go ahead and stake the cryptocurrency. This is the main page that I'm on right now. You would want to go over to the right here and click on earn interest. And then in this particular case, we would be staking Ethereum since that's what we bought. So you would click on Ethereum and then you'd go down a little bit and you would click stake now. Now I am not going to do this because I have plans with this Ethereum. I have to use it in the rest of this video, but it's pretty much that easy. Now there are some cryptocurrencies out there that automatically stake, so you don't even have to tell it to stake, it just does it automatically. Ethereum is not one of those though. Now I will say that Ethereum is not the best cryptocurrency to stake. There are other ones that give you much better staking rewards, and Coinbase is not the best website for you to stake your cryptocurrency. So this is something that you want to do your research on because it's really nice to be able to get more than 5 or 10% from staking. Next, we're going to go over how to transfer your cryptocurrency. All right, so we are on the main page here, and the way that you would want to transfer your cryptocurrency is you would go up here to send/receive, and then you would want to make sure that you're transferring the right crypto. So you want to go ahead and click this and choose the one that you want to send. So in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and send my Ethereum. Then you make sure that you have send selected and not receive. And I'm going to go ahead and do it with 1,000 Ethereum. Then you want to use the wallet address that you are sending the cryptocurrency to. Now you want to be very careful at this part. You do not want to send Ethereum to a Bitcoin wallet address. And you don't want to send Bitcoin to an Ethereum address. You only send Ethereum to an Ethereum address. So double, triple, and quadruple check that you are sending it to the right address. Now on some websites, it will tell you if you're sending it to a different type of address. It either won't let you do it at all, or it'll warn you that it's the wrong address. But you don't want to rely on the website. Always triple check yourself. So I copied the address that I'm going to send it to, and I'm going to paste it right now. I am going to go ahead and put a note here. And then after I've made sure everything's correct, I'm going to go ahead and click continue. And then you want to go ahead and verify that everything's correct again and click send now. And if you've set up two-factor authentication, which I highly recommend you do, at this point, you will enter that in. And there you go. The transaction is done. Now it just has to be executed And it's usually done, it says in less than 10 minutes, but usually it's more like less than like a minute to 3 minutes max. And so you're good to go. Next, we're gonna talk about how to exchange cryptocurrency. All right, so we're on the main Coinbase page here, and we're gonna go over how you can exchange your cryptocurrency. So from the main page, you would want to go to trade, and then you would want to look at the top right here and click convert. And then you can choose which cryptocurrency you want to convert to the other crypto. So in this particular case, I am going to be choosing Ethereum, and then I am going to convert the Ethereum to, we'll do Solana. Then you put the amount you want to convert. So in this particular case, I'm gonna go ahead and convert $1,000 worth of Ethereum into $1,000 worth of Solana. Then when everything's good, you do preview and make sure that everything is correct here, and then click this blue button, convert now. And within a few seconds, the transaction was done. Now we're going to go over how to sell your cryptocurrency. So in this particular case, I am going to be selling my Ethereum for US dollars. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and sell cryptocurrency. So you're gonna be on the main page here, you go up to the top right and you click buy sell. You go to sell, and then you click which one you want to sell, which in this case is going to be Ethereum. And I am going to sell $1,000 worth of Ethereum. And it's automatically selected whichever country you live in. In this particular case, I live in the United States, so this is going to be USD fiat currency. And we're gonna go ahead and preview the sell. I'm gonna sell $1,000 worth of Ethereum and sell now. And it just took a few seconds and it was successfully sold. So one thing I do want to mention here is this is not fiat currency that is going straight to my bank account. It converted it into fiat currency, USD, that I can still use on Coinbase. So in order to send it to my bank account, that would be another step. For the purposes of this video, I am going to keep that USD on Coinbase because I plan on using it in the near future. All right, so now we know how to buy, sell, trade, and transfer cryptocurrency on Coinbase. Next, we are going to look into how to buy and sell cryptocurrency on Webull. Now, this option on Webull is slightly more complicated than Coinbase, but it's also a little bit faster. So we're gonna go ahead and jump over to me from a few days in the past, buying cryptocurrency on Webull. Because again, there is a little bit of a delay before you actually have access to that cryptocurrency. Hey guys, Shane from the past here. So I am gonna be going over exactly how to buy cryptocurrency on Webull. And in this particular case, I'm just gonna do $1,000. So I'm on the main page here. I've already created the account. This is an account, basically a dummy account that I use for different videos. But you wanna go to this middle button here. There's a lot of options. You can go to markets, community, messages, watch list, but you really wanna go to this middle button here. And then you click right here at the top right, detail, right? And then once you're there, you can go down a little bit and you look at buying power, and there is an option to deposit. Okay, so you click on deposit. And then at the top here, you can basically, link your bank account. There's a bunch of different options. Most common way that people do it is linking their bank account and what's known as an ACH transfer. This does take a few days, but it's a little bit easier to set up and it's just more common. However, they will give you access to a significant amount of the money that you transfer right away. So even though the transfer isn't complete, they still will give you access to that money. They're basically like lending it to you for free, assuming that the money does actually go through, of course. So you would click on that tab, you would set up your bank account information, basically your routing number, your account number is what you need to do for an ACH transfer. Pretty simple. You can probably access that on your online bank account. You can find that information. If not, the bottom of your checks. If not, go ask your bank. There's many different ways to do it. So what I'm going to be doing here is just transferring $1,000. So go down to the bottom, transfer $1,000, transfer to Webull, confirm, and it should be good to go. And the last time I transferred money, I had you know, I transferred $1,000, I had buying power within just a few minutes, right? So it says that it, you know, it's going to approve you later that day, but that's just a buffer time. Usually it's just a few minutes later. All right, guys, so the $1,000 went through right away, did not take long at all. And I probably could have just continued the video actually, but it is a few minutes later. So what you want to do here is you want to go to markets, and then there's going to be a bunch of different options for different stuff you can buy, but you want to click on the cryptos tab here. I was already on the tab. Usually it'll just pop up right here if you're in the United States. You want to go over to the cryptos tab, and you have a bunch of different options for cryptos you can buy here. Now, you will have to agree when you first sign up for this. I will let you read the agreements yourself. Basically, you don't own the cryptocurrency. You don't own the keys, so you don't own the crypto. That's a common saying in crypto. So it is controversial about whether you should keep it on one of these exchanges or not. So I will let you make up your own mind on that. There are pros and cons to it. I will say that this is probably the easiest way for you to buy cryptocurrency. It is easier than, you know, signing up to Coinbase and then buying crypto on there. So, you know, there's pros and cons to everything. With that being said, you'll have to sign that and then apply to be able to buy and sell crypto. And the application for me took like a few hours. So what we're going to be doing here is I'm going to click on the ETH/USD, that's Ethereum paired to the US dollar. Click on that. I'm going to click trade at the bottom left. And then I'm going to go ahead and do an order type of market order. And I'm going to buy 1,000. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and click buy at the bottom. I'm going to confirm. So the order pretty much went through immediately, did not take much time at all. It has completed now. And yeah, it's just that easy. All right, so that was super easy, didn't take too long. Now we're gonna go ahead and sell the cryptocurrency on Webull as well. All right, so we're on the main account page here. You see at the bottom, there's watch list, markets, community, messages, and then in the middle, this is actually where you trade stocks and cryptocurrency, etc. So as you can see there, I do have a position in Ethereum. It has already gone up a little bit, so I've already made some gains there. That's nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click into the Ethereum. I am going to click sell to close on the bottom left, or I guess touch. I'm not really clicking anything, am I? Now, in terms of the amount of Ethereum, I don't want to sell all of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and sell 0.1. And I'm just going to do a very simple limit order. You can also do a market order if you want. I'm just going to keep it simple. And I'm going to go ahead and click sell. I understand and confirm. And usually this whole process takes less than a minute. And within a few seconds, my order to sell Ethereum has been filled. So we are good to go. All right, so now we're going to go over how to store your cryptocurrency. Now, of course, if you bought it on Webull or Robinhood, you can't really store it. You kind of just have to keep it on there. And unfortunately, that means you can't stake it. And also, unfortunately, that means that you truly do not own the cryptocurrency. The company owns it for you as a proxy. If you bought it on Coinbase, you can store it. You can stake it on Coinbase. You can also transfer it to another place where you can stake it and get even better rewards. And so if you keep your cryptocurrency on Coinbase, you technically don't own it because you don't own the keys, but you can send it somewhere else where you do own the keys. Now, this place that you send it to, if you own the keys, would be what's known as a cryptocurrency wallet. And there are two different types of cryptocurrency wallets. There are hot wallets and cold wallets. Hot wallets are wallets that are connected to the internet. Usually the cryptocurrency and the funds inside of these wallets are very easily accessible, but they are more vulnerable to hacking because they're connected to the internet. Cold wallets are incredibly secure. It's very, very difficult to hack a cold wallet, pretty much impossible. They are not connected to the internet, but they're also less accessible, so it's harder to actually use your cryptocurrency. Now, when it comes to hot wallets, they can be self-custody or third-party. A self-custody hot wallet example is Exodus. So in this particular case, you control the keys, so you own the cryptocurrency. An example of a third custody hot wallet would be Coinbase. They hold the wallet for you. You don't have access to those keys. And so therefore, technically you don't own the cryptocurrency, Coinbase does. Then you've got cold wallets. And cold wallets can also be self-custody or third party. So an example of a cold wallet that is self-custody would be a ledger. And an example of a cold wallet that is third custody would be BitGo. So I personally use Ledger for my cold storage. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you kind of what it looks like. So I'll put this up to the camera. And this is a super awesome, super secure little piece of technology. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, always do your own research, this is probably the safest and most secure way for you to store your cryptocurrency. Now, there's two things that you never want to share with anybody. And those two things are your private keys as well as your seed phrases. So there's an example of a private key on the bottom left. It's a bunch of different letters and numbers. The public key is what the public can see when they see a transaction went from point A to point B, but they cannot see the private key. You never want to share that. And then there is the seed phrase. And an example of a seed phrase is on the bottom right here. So usually this could be up to like 24 different words, and you have to know them in order. And this is a way for you to access your cryptocurrency without having to prove your identity. Now, if you lose your keys for whatever reason, you can usually still recover your cryptocurrency as long as you have your seed phrases. But these are things that you want to store and preferably make multiple copies of. Because if you just store them in your house and your house burns down, you just lost all of your cryptocurrency. So a lot of people will make multiple copies of these and they will put them in secure bank vaults, for instance, especially if they have a significant amount of crypto. At the very least, they might put them in a fireproof safe within their house that's locked. Something along those lines. Some people bury them out in the middle of nowhere, right? There's many different ways that you can keep these things safe. Now, another thing we want to briefly go over, and this is a very complicated subject, so definitely talk to your CPA or your accountant. This is different depending on the state you live in, the country you live in, all kinds of different things. And it's also rapidly changing and hotly debated. But as of now, this is basically what you can expect to pay on your cryptocurrency. If you hold a cryptocurrency for less than 1 year, then you're going to be paying short-term capital gains tax. And this is whether you trade it or sell it. Yes, that means you will be paying short-term capital gains tax if you trade your cryptocurrency from Ethereum to Solana or Ethereum to Bitcoin or anything. You'll also be paying short-term capital gains tax if you sell it. So my accountant is probably gonna hate me for making this video because you guys saw that I bought it and sold it within just a few days. And I'm gonna be paying short-term capital gains tax on the gains. Now, long-term capital gains tax is when you hold it for more than a year. And you can see here the difference between short-term and long-term capital gains tax is significant. So if you have less than $10,275 and you hold it for more than a year, then you don't really have to pay anything on that. It's 0%. However, if you have more than $539,000 and you held it for less than a year, you'll have to pay 37% on your gains. So this is yet another reason why it's better for you to focus on long-term investing rather than buying and selling some random coin that you think is going to go up in a few days. As if all the other reasons weren't enough already. All right, so some more free gifts and surprises. I'm actually making this entire presentation completely free to you, and you can look at it down in the description below. So, just in case for whatever reason you want to add your own notes or you want to review it without having to actually watch the video, this entire presentation is free to you. It's going to be down in the description below. This presentation took me dozens of hours to make. So I did lots of research on this. So I really hope that it helped you out. And if it did, please share. And if you haven't done it already, like the video. Come on now. Subscribe. You hit the notification bell. That helps a lot as well. But share this with somebody else who needs it. Somebody who's just getting into cryptocurrency or somebody who could learn more about it. I mean, even if you've been doing crypto for a while, you probably learned a lot from this video. So share it with others so they can learn as well. And here are my citations for this video. I used many, many different sources. Here, 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 here. Yes. Check out my other videos right here. I made them just for you. Go ahead, gently tap that like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and comment down below any thoughts, comments, criticisms, etc. that you have on the video, and I will see you next time.